Candy store tries to strong-arm me into a purchase I shouldn't have been charged for, by user sign 000. I stopped at one of those candy stores inside malls you always see with tons of bins of random candy and the bags you can fill up yourself with the tongs and you get charged some crazy price by the pound. On this visit they seemed to be running a special. Next to where the bags were kept to fill up your candy they had a sign saying free cups to store your candy, so I opted for that instead of the bag, knowing they would still weigh the cup anyways. When I got to the counter and they weighed the candy, the total came up on the register, but I had to question them since I may not have heard the price right, which was about double what I was expecting. I asked how much candy they weighed and what the price breakdown was. The two clerks behind the register looked irritated that I had to question them, but gave me the weight and also added that they charged me several dollars for the cheap plastic cup that was supposed to be free. Aren't those cups supposed to be free? I asked. No, they are not free, they're $4.00. There is a big sign saying free cups. No, there isn't. At this point I walk over and point to the sign that said free. Oh, we used to have free cups but we ran out, so we put jars there instead. Isn't that a bit misleading? No, because these are jars. Wouldn't it be fair to say someone looking at a sign that says free cups and sees a plastic container where the sign is assume that it's a cup? No, because it's not a cup. There is nothing else around the sign, only the containers and a sign that says free. No response. I was getting nowhere. Fine, I'll just dump the candy in a bag and you can keep the jar. No, you can't do that because you already touched the jar and we can't sell it to someone else now, they said smugly, expecting my defeat. I realized they didn't have my credit card at this point yet. Okay, then just keep the candy too, bye. They realized they would now need to toss out both the candy and the jar I had at this point, and I could feel the daggers being stared at me as I walked out. Never treat your staff like shit on the way out, if you don't know where they are going, by user Reagan201937. I recently resigned from my job. I was just tired and burnt out and my CEO kept pushing me hard, telling me to drive further, and that's just how it was. I was also moving house, and commuting to work would be another 30 minutes on top of 1.5 hours I'm already doing, so enough was enough. I got so tired that I resigned. I hadn't got another job lined up, that's fine, I was okay financially. As soon as I resigned, my CEO called me into the office 20 minutes later, and asked me to leave straight away, escorted me off-site like a criminal and wouldn't even let me say bye to people, touch my laptop, clear my desk. It was like I was being fired. It was so embarrassing. No one from work got in touch to see if I was okay, as he went round telling everyone he fired me and saying it went pear-shaped with her at the end, so I had to let her go. Fast forward a few weeks. Well, I did find another job, with one of my ex-employer's clients that use their services to do their emergency training for them, first aid and fire training, and now I'm in charge of who we use as our contractors. My new boss said, well, we normally use your old company at a cost of $37,000 a year, but if you know another company that is better, then switch. I have no loyalty to them. Well, switch I have done. Muhahaha. If my old boss hadn't treated me so badly, I definitely would have used their services, but treat me like that and say goodbye to a client. My roommates are assholes, so I made sure to feed the ant colony in our house before I'm leaving, by user upward spiral 0. I'm living in a student apartment with 2 other female students. They would always stay up until late, like 2 AM, and make noise, constantly hurting my sleep schedule and also my ability to do well in exams. I confronted them numerous times about this and I got some disgusting reactions. They would also always leave the kitchen full of unwashed dishes. Like, I cannot remember when was the last time I actually saw the bottom of the sink. They would deliberately leave the key to the apartment door inside the lock, so that I couldn't come in without ringing the bell and waiting for them to open the door for me. I came to a conclusion that my best choice here would be to find a new apartment. So I have a few more days left until I leave, and this weekend I'm all alone in the apartment until Sunday. And I noticed an increasing presence of ants all over our dirty kitchen. As I said, they always leave the sink dirty with unwashed dishes, so ants started coming up lately and they are actually swarming the sink. At first, when I realized that, I was like, FK this, I need to kill them. But then I thought to myself, why would I care? I'm leaving in a few days. They can roam around all they want. And then I realized that I have the apartment for myself for the weekend. So I did something very kind towards the ants but very evil towards my roommates. Instead of getting rid of them, I started feeding them. Every couple of hours I would leave them a spoon of brown sugar near the sink where they were all already gathered. I'm hoping they will grow a big colony. Smiley face, go ants. Update. I started leaving them small chunks of pistachio nuts and they went wild for them. The only thing is that they seem to be having a hard time moving them around even though I made sure they would be small pieces. I added some photos of them using some teamwork. https://ib.co/m8rpjcn https://ib.co/krjzxwf https://ib.co/1rdxctc A guy screams at a young woman working at Home Depot. I got revenge for her, by user Reddit 807. Guy is obnoxious to a young woman at Home Depot. I get revenge for her. Obligatory. This happened about a week ago. This guy in his maybe late 60s is acting like a jerk to the young lady working the self-checkout machines and how they're not working, and how he hates everything about them and wishes they were removed in favor of cashiers again, like the old days. This guy did not need to go to the 4 self-checkout machine area staffed by this woman. There was literally 2 other employees attending to 2 other checkouts 10 and 20 away, and if he felt like walking for 10 seconds there was a 3rd lane open with nobody there on the other side of the seasonal stuff at the front. So he's basically screaming at this woman for no reason. It's not her fault. She didn't design the store. She didn't make the self-checkout machines and she also didn't piss in his Cheerios that morning. But nevertheless he's getting belligerent and unloading on her. I was at the register not next to him but opposite him in the 4 machine corral. I turned and discreetly said to her, "Are you alright, need me to step in?" She quietly gave me a very relaxed and very in control "No, thank you" though with a friendly head nod. Despite his behavior, she was in total control of this situation and the sad thing is he probably wasn't the first or last rude customer she's dealt with. He finishes paying about 30 seconds ahead of me and on the way out the door I hear him say, albeit much quieter but still plenty loud for her and others to hear, "Thanks for your help, word." As I'm walking out the door seriously deciding if I'm about to fight, and probably get whipped in the process, lol, I see him about 50 ahead in the parking lot and see while juggling his wood pieces and bags, he drops his car key ring with about 30 other keys on it, 3 from a parking lot storm drain. I'm so excited I'm almost shaking. It's like the heavens opened up and told that woman, "I'm going to fix this for you." So I did what any helpful 30-year-old would do and I gently half-kicked them off the side of my boot towards the drain. They hit one of the great openings and I heard the most satisfying splash of my life. Best part was the water was pitch black and down a few feet so you're not seeing anything when you look straight down. Checkmate, Home Depot lady. EDA, just to answer a couple questions I've seen come up a few times. Inconsiderate chain-smoking neighbor next door shouts at me to fix my landlord's garden, then hurls abuse at me when I do so. What happened next was rather satisfying, by user blueyjasmine____. So the mother of all Karens lives next door and unsurprisingly, she isn't very neighborly or considerate. She chain smokes every day in her back garden approximately 2 meters away from my bedroom window and it wafts over, leaving me unable to enjoy my garden, unable to open my windows in summer and unable to dry laundry in the garden as it ends up smelling like an ashtray. I've politely let her know that I have asthma and it's affecting my quality of life. I discussed that all I can do is kindly suggest that if she could ever smoke in her front garden instead if she sees my windows are open or that my washing is out, it would be greatly appreciated. There was no change to her behavior and she didn't take it well. Then there's the glorious verbal abuse shouted over the fence at me. The one time I used my garden with friends she complained about moderate noise of conversations and laughter at 8 p.m., yet said neighbor blares music on a weekly basis so loudly that I can hear the lyrics to the songs she's listening to. She regularly shouts over the fence that she's unhappy about the state of our landlord's garden but as it's a rental property I can only do so much to fix it. Last summer the garden was covered like a jungle in out of control tall weeds and had a huge stack of rotten furniture from former tenants. I decided to do all the weeding which was a horrendous task that took many grueling weekends of my own work. I had to tolerate her chain smoking while doing this task and it makes me feel quite ill. I also called my local council to collect the rotten furniture, paid for out of my own pocket, and when I was on the phone to the council sending the itinerary of items to be collected, said neighbor started abruptly shouting at me to shut up from her window. This was the only other occasion I've spoken audibly in my garden other than the time I had a few friends over for dinner. The revenge for the shouting? After the call I audibly retorted, "So you don't want me to sort out the garden, then? Don't worry, after this I won't put down weed killer or do the garden again." Since that day, I've let the weeds get out of control. Only a year on, the garden looks like a jungle again with human-height tree-like weeds sprouting everywhere and covering every inch of my garden. It looks like the garden of a haunted house, and I know it'll drive my neighbor mad. Especially because she knows it's as a result of her own actions. When she looks out of her window, the view of my horrible garden will ruin her perfect one. I can hear her muttering about it from time to time. Revenge for the chain smoking affecting my quality of life and basic enjoyment of my home? I may have found a delectable fart-scented spray called Liquid Ass I'm contemplating spritzing out the window and over the fence. Reviews online describe the product as revolting, overwhelming and strong enough to induce coughing and gagging. I'm quite tempted to use it to encourage her to smoke in her front garden instead.